Well, hello, and welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger. The date is Sunday, December 8th, 2024. Christmas is fast approaching, and I think this is a good time to talk about family. In particular, how to just be a little bit nicer to not just our family members, not just them, but those people that are close to us. Have you ever noticed either someone in your life or maybe even yourself might be really, really good at communicating with friends and coworkers and either even boyfriend or girlfriend, but the moment they start talking to their immediate family, their brothers and sisters, the mom, the dad, the aunt, the uncle, it's like demonic possession. It's like they get taken over by some dark evil force and they cannot communicate like a normal human being. Let me give you a real example. Okay, like this is something that I witnessed one time. I was with a good friend of mine, and this is a very gentle, very nice person that like I've known this friend for over 10 years. I've never heard him raise his voice or he cuss very little, and just a very well mannered, very well spoken young man. But then one time when we were in his car, and he picked up his phone, and it went something like this. Well, the conversation was done sort of in Mandarin and Taiwanese, so I'm going to just kind of like imitate it for you guys, how it sounded. Okay, so when he picked up the phone, it was very friendly and mild, like "hello," and then after that, there's a pause, and then my friend went, "干嘛啦？怎么样了？什么？不要啦？好了，我说了不要了，烦不烦呐？再见。" And then hung up the phone. Like literally in front of me, my friend went from this mild mannered, well spoken young man to, well, something like an aggressive wife beater kind of guy. And I was like, everything okay? And he said, oh, yeah, it's just my aunt asking if I need her to drop off any food at my place. And I was like, dude, the way you sounded like you wanted to murder her in her sleep. Like you sounded like she owed you money or she kicked your dog or something. Like, come on. Like, what's up with that? Like, your aunt asking if you need her to drop food off to you. Like, that should make you happy or at the very least grateful. Like, what the hell? And he's like, well, yeah, I know. I don't know. She just get on my nerves sometimes. She's so annoying. She keep asking and I don't know. So sometimes I just don't know how to talk to her. But that is a prime example of what I'm talking about in today's episode. Like, how is it that a well-spoken, well-behaved person, a mild-mannered person, can be so, well, I hate to say this, so rude when talking to someone close to him when that person is just asking, hey, do you need me to drop off some food? I'm at the store. Do you need this? Do you need that? Now, how come this person is so rude to her? Now, of course, when it comes to family, right, it is very hard to judge what's going on because you don't know. Sometimes there's a lot of past wrongs on both sides. There's buried uh, bad feelings on both sides. And when you're a family, I mean, the problem is when you're family, you are in each other's life for a long time, like 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years, there's going to be a lot of stuff that get pushed to the back, that get swept under the rug, that get put out of sight, and but never forgotten. So it is quite possible that this aunt irritated my friend for 20, 30 years of his life, and now it's just getting to the point where just the sound of her voice is driving him nuts, right? But I'm hoping that by talking about this, by addressing this kind of uh, phenomenon, and really taking a deep dive into what's going on here, can help us understand and, if not totally eradicate, at least somewhat tone it down a little bit. Because you know what? The family members, like now, I don't have like my immediate family members around me, so it's easy for me to say. I have not uh, lived with my family since I was 18 years old. That's a hell of a long time ago. Uh, in some ways, I think this is why I can look at this more objectively uh, than people who are neck deep in family issues and traumas and dramas and all that stuff. Uh, but I think that if we can just take it apart and look at every component of what is going on here, why is it that some people find it so easy to be nice to other people, and yet it's so rude and so mean to their wife, to their mom, to their dad, to their kids? Maybe if you are such a person, maybe you can be more aware of it. And with the family holiday coming up, the season of spending time with your family coming up, maybe we can make everybody's life a little bit easier. After all, family time should be happy time. Family time shouldn't be like walking on a landmine. Family time shouldn't be all about yelling and accusation and finger pointing and backstabbing and smacking your hand on the table and stamping your foot on the floor and all that stuff. Family time should be fun and loving, at least as much as possible. So let's look at number one. Let's look at why uh, it is so easy to be mean to your family member rather than to outsider. Why is it that when you're at work, when you're outside, when you're out clubbing with friends, you put up with all kind of crap? Someone step on your foot, you laugh it off. Someone slam the door on your hand, you laugh it off. Someone who scratch your car, you laugh it off. Someone who spill your beer, you laugh it off. But the moment you get home, you turn into a demon. Why? Okay. Uh, Number one is you have unreasonable expectation toward those people who are close to you. So what do I mean by that? A lot of time we take people for granted when said people or person have been with us for a long time. And in the case of immediate family, they've been with you for your whole life. So when you're outside and someone step on your foot, you're like psychologically you think, ow, shit. Okay, well, this person doesn't mean it. They didn't. They probably have something on their mind. Uh, that's okay. So you smile and you shrug it off. Oh, when you're at home and someone step on your foot, you lose your shit. Why? Because you live here. You know I always sit here. We eat at this table every day. You should know my foot will be there. That is a very simple example of unreasonable expectation toward those people around you. Why is it unreasonable? Because nobody is perfect 24 hours a day. And when you live together for 20, 30, 40 years, there's a lot of chance, there's a lot of opportunities for those imperfections to happen, for those slip up to happen. If you only have to see someone 8 hours a day at work, then, and I doubt you'll be looking at that person all 8 hours of the day, there's a lot of imperfection that you're not going to see, right? Because it's easy for that person to put on the best foot forward, put on their uh, best looking suit, best looking skirt, and act professional. Because 8 hours later, they don't have to deal with you. But when you would live with someone for your whole life, or 20 years, 10 years, uh, there's no avoiding that. Like, you can't reasonably expect people around you in your immediate family to be on their best behavior all the time, because you know what, you are not on your best behavior all the time. So to expect that they should know what you like, they should remember what you like, they should know how you like something, they should know this is going to piss you off all the time, it's not realistic, it's not reasonable. If you feel that this is how people around you should be in your family, then you're not you don't need a family. You need a bunch of slaves, right? That because you're not paying them, you're not, like you're not you didn't hire them to do a job. They are your family, just like you are their family. No one has any say in this matter. So to expect them to be professional and perfect all the time is not fair. It is not right. So this is the primary reason why it's easy for us to lose it in front of our family, because of our overwhelming sense of taking them for granted and expecting too much from them. Okay, just always keep in the back of your mind, knowing that your family member, your wife, your husband, your dad, your mom, your aunt, your uncle, they are just as human as you or I. They deserve to slip up just as much as you and I. They deserve to have that shrug and that smile and be forgiven as much as that person at work, right? If your boss do something like spill your drink, most likely you're not going to yell at your boss. Why? Because they pay you. They're your boss. Okay, so but just because your family members are not paying you, they're not your boss. You slam your fist down on the table and you scream at them. Like, that's not really right, is it? Okay, so number one reason why it's easy for us to lose it in front of our family is our unreasonable expectation towards them. Number two, another reason why we lose our temper easily in front of our family is they have unreasonable expectation toward us. This is very, very common in parent-child relationship, right? Uh, I'll give you a personal example. Like, I am very, very even keeled for the most part. It's very difficult to get me riled up in most cases. But every time I talk to my dad, I feel like I want to rage out and I want to destroy everything around me and I want to tear his head off and beat him to death with his own head. Yeah, that's a very gruesome and ridiculous imagery right there. But like, that's how mad I get when I talk to my dad. Why? Because a lot of the time when I talk to my dad, he spent the entire conversation telling me, you're in your 40s. You need to make more money. You need to save your money, because otherwise, when you get to my age, what are you going to do? When I was your age, I was already blah 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 blah. I made blah 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 blah. And look at you. You have to eat instant noodle. You have to rent a cheap basement suite. And blah 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 blah. And why is this so problematic for me? Why is it such a trigger for me? Because I know his expectation of me, and I feel I'm disappointing him, and that makes me feel bad. And at the same time, I know what he says is true. Okay, I'm not making nearly enough money to keep myself and those around me safe. And it's a problem that me as a disabled person feels every day, but unable to do shit about. Okay, I already work 2 or 3 jobs. I already do like 3 or 4 times more than most people around me, but I just still can't make even like middle class kind of money. Like most of the time, I barely get above that poverty line. A lot of year, I am under that poverty line. So he's not telling me anything that I don't already know. Okay, my financial suck. I am almost broke. I need more money. I know all that. So having that in my face over and over again while I can't do anything about it and I feel I'm a failure. I feel that I'm disappointing him. I must be the worst son in the world, and it it just make for a very rage-inducing kind of environment. Okay, so this comes down to his expectation for me is unreasonably high. He doesn't look at the reality of being a disabled person, being a disabled immigrant living in a primarily white country. He doesn't look at that kind of situation. He just understand that he believe I don't make enough money, and he believe by telling me that I don't make enough money over and over again should inspire me to make more money. So a lot of time, it is this kind of expectation from our parents, from our elders, that drive us to instant rage because we already feel like we failed them. We already know what they're saying is kind of true. We already know that we are in a bit, we have issues where they're pointing out issues. Okay, like it's like someone telling you you're fat when you already working your butt off trying to lose weight, that will make you rage out because you know you're fat. This is why you're working your ass off to lose weight. And then that person keeps rubbing that in your face every day, So this kind of unreasonable expectations from your family member is yet another reason why it is easy for us to just lose our shit in front of them. Number three, last but not least, and this one is very brutal. We are getting very real here, but it's true, right? It is easy to lose it in front of our family member. It is easy to abuse them verbally, physically, emotionally, because there's very little repercussion. Yeah, pause for a second and think about that. If you rage out in front of your boss fires you. If you rage out in front of your friend, you won't have friends anymore. If you rage out towards your girlfriend or boyfriend, well, most likely you won't have a girlfriend or boyfriend for much longer. But if you rage out at your mom, what can they do about it? They still have to be your mom tomorrow. They still have to be your mom for the rest of your life. If you rage out at your dad, there's nothing they can do about it. They still have to be your dad for the rest of their life. If you rage out at your brother and sister, well, they may choose not to talk to you, but they still have to see you at family function. Most likely, they have to forgive you. If you rage out at your uncle and auntie, and like when you do this to your family member, it's actually extremely unfair because uh, you are using the fact that there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do to get back at you. There's no repercussion. There's no backlash. Okay, it's not like when we were 10 years old. I bet you if you were a kid, if you were like, especially if you grow up in Chinese family, if you were a Chinese kid, 8 or 9 years old, you would never rage out at your family member because the moment you rage out, the moment you raise your voice, you get smacked in the face, right? So there, when you were little, there were uh, immediate repercussions that remind you, hey, this is not okay. But when you get older, now that you're big and tall and strong, those repercussions go away. Now they can hit you. So there's very little they can do other than to just shake their head and swallow their tears and pretend that, oh, eh, Johnny is just gone nuts. It's okay. It's okay. We get this every day, right? So next time you feel like raging out at your parent, at your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, wife, husband, stop for a second and think, is this really right? Or are you just abusing the fact that there's no repercussion? Are you just abusing the fact that there's no backlash? Would you do the same to your boss? If this was your boss sitting across the table from you, would you do this? Okay, think for a second. I think uh, you'll actually be able to figure out what's right and what's wrong. So now we know the why. Let's look at how to solve this issue. Now, obviously, family is a complicated thing, and nothing I can say is going to solve it all for you guys because I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of other baggage in your dealing with your family. Maybe there's a lot of grudges, there's a past wrongs that have not been resolved, and that complicates the whole situation. But uh, I I would like to offer you two ways of resolving uh, this situation at least for a little bit. So next time when you feel like raging out towards someone close to you, maybe this will help you keep that in check. Um, Number one, divert your focus. Did you know that when we feel rage, when that rage come on, for most people, the average is only 12 seconds. Yeah, like when you feel that instant hot rage and you want to rip the person's face off, if you wait for 12 seconds, that actually goes away. You still feel angry, but you won't feel that rage after 12 seconds. At least that is the average for most people. Okay, it's an interesting little human psyche to know about that there is actually an average length of time. So when you know there's an end, everything is easier to bear with. When you know that it's only 12 seconds that this rage is there, that you can do anything for 12 seconds, right? You can hold your breath for 12 seconds. Okay, so next time you feel this rage building up, coming on, you want to throw that coffee cup across the room, go do something else for 12 seconds, okay? Go use the bathroom, go wash your face, go brush your teeth, go run on the treadmill, go lift weight, right? If in the middle of the family dinner, someone said something that instantly pissed you off, take a deep breath, say, I'm sorry, I need to use the washroom, and then go stay in the bathroom for half an hour, okay? Or however long it takes for you to calm down. Take yourself away from that situation. This is actually working great for me. Whenever my dad starts to talk about things that I know is going to piss me off, I will walk over to my doorbell and I will ring the doorbell and say, oh, Dad, hold on. Sorry, Amazon delivery. Or Dad, hold on. I got a friend coming over. And then I'll go away from the phone until I feel more centered and I come back to the phone. Oh, Dad, sorry about that. What were you saying? And suddenly what he says doesn't affect me that badly anymore because I have my 12-second or 20-second or however long I need to center myself. So next time you feel like raging out, deep breath, washroom. Okay, the bathroom is your best place, best solace, best sanctuary at this time, because no matter what you're doing in the middle of something, usually no one can tell you you can't go to the bathroom. Okay, like you can be in the middle of like a like a family serious family discussion about inheritance. If you need to use the bathroom, they can't say that you can't go. You know, so uh, always keep that in mind when you feel like raging out. Bathroom. Number two. Now, removing yourself from the situation is a way to solve the problem by treating the symptoms. When you feel the rage, go do something to let that rage fade. But it doesn't really take away the problem because these conversations will come up again and again. These situations come up again and again. And every time you feel the rage, you'll go to the bathroom, or like me, you'll go ring that doorbell, right? Uh, so, number two, I'll show you a way to more easily fix the problem. Okay? Number two, try to put yourself in their head. Try to have more empathy. Okay? Try to have more empathy. I want to share with you guys a story that I saw on the internet a while ago that it's basically what I'm talking about in regarding to putting yourself in their place, putting yourself in their head. And when I read this story, it touched me so much that it almost made me cry. There's this guy named George. George is very smart, and he's getting his master's degree. He lives at home with his parents. His dad is getting pretty old. I think his dad was like in his 70s, and maybe having dementia or Alzheimer. So sometimes when dad is asking George, "Hey, what's happening today?" or what time is it? Or do you know when is the doctor's appointment? Dad would keep repeating the question every few minutes. And most times, George is pretty good about that. But there are times when George obviously get fed up and would yell at his dad, "How can you be so bloody stupid? I told you the doctor's appointment on Friday, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. I told you that like 20 times already. Why can't you go write it down? Why can't you remember? What's wrong with you?" So one day, George was in the middle of studying, and his dad came into the room and said, "Hey, uh, you hear the bird outside our window? What kind of bird is that?" George is like, "Dad, it's a sparrow." Dad is like, "Oh, yeah, 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 okay." And Dad went away. And 5 minutes later, Dad came back in, said, I don't remember if you told me. What bird is that outside our window?" George is like, "Dad, it's a sparrow." "Oh, you're right, 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 right." And Dad went away. 10 minutes later, Dad came back. "Hey George, what bird did you say that is again?" And George, being interrupted 3 times from his studying, lost his shit and threw his book across the room, and it's a bloody sparrow. Okay, it's a stupid sparrow. Why do you keep asking that? What's wrong with you? Why can't you remember that it's a sparrow? Why do I have to keep repeating myself?" His dad smiled and went to his bedside table and came back with a diary. And his dad showed George the diary. They flipped to the page that his dad wanted to show him, and the page read, the page was written 24 years ago. So the page said, "George, is 3 years old. My dear, dear son George is 3 years old. And today he heard the sparrow outside the window, and he asked me what bird it was. And I told him it was a sparrow. George couldn't understand the word sparrow, so he asked me at least 25 times what bird that was, and I told him. And after 25 times, he finally remembered and could say the word sparrow. I'm so proud of my son. After reading that, George broke down in tears and begged his dad for forgiveness for losing his temper, because now he understands that 24 years ago your dad did that for you. 24 years ago, when you were a dumb child, your dad taught you and had to teach you how to say sparrow 20 times, and your dad did not throw his book across the room. Your dad was proud of you when you finally learned, right? Um, this is something that it's actually quite uh, important for us to remember, that sometimes when we are getting mad at people around us, to remember when we were children, when we were dumb and when we didn't know anything, did they get mad at us for asking questions? Did they get mad at us when we spill their drink? Did they get mad at us when we uh, step on their feet, or when we broke something? Right? I mean, for some of you, and definitely for me, the answer would be, hell yeah, they were like, like my parents were not very nice to me when I was a child. So uh, honestly, I don't feel too bad when I lose my shit with my parents, because they weren't very nice. So I don't feel I need to be very nice. But for some of you who's been fortunate enough to have nice parents that did things for you, taught you things, and educated you and sheltered you, protected you when you were little, now is the time to remember that. Put yourself in their head, put yourself in their place. How did they treat you back then? You should treat them. Maybe you will never be able to treat them the way they treated you, because child and parent relationship is very different, depending on which end of the spectrum you're on. But at least you can try a little bit harder to be nice to them. Okay, like I said, there's a lot going on in most family dynamic that people don't usually rage out for no reason. There's usually some really good reason for people to rage out. But I hope that after today's episode, you find it in yourself to be a little bit more tolerant and a little bit more lenient and a little bit more forgiving. The family holiday is coming up, and I hope everybody have a good Christmas, New Year, and all that family time.